Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
And good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to catch our drift. Joining me in studio, Ipsy Ed Bonderenka.
Hey, man.
Are you just growing roots there, dude?
Yeah.
You're getting as bad as Pastor Ray.
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to The Drift. What we do every Saturday is go over the news we put on thedailydrift.com, and if you're not going there, you should be. It's the
news you need to know.
There you go. I spend a little time every day, more than a little time, putting news from around the world, across the nation, up there for you that you won't find in the mainstream media. So go to thedailydrift.com, please.
Make yourself educated.
Educate yourself. You're thinking a little simpatico action right there, wasn't it?
Simpatico. That's scary.
Jinx, buy me a Coke, right? Okay. Let's take care of a little business. Dalton Environmental. It's that time of year. If you're like me, that furnace is probably running like every 5 minutes. And I'm putting the plastic on the windows. You know, I got a couple of old windows still. And Dalton's Environmental can get your air ducts clean. 1-877-DALTONS. That's 1-877-325-8667. Dalton's. And they've got a $25 off antimicrobial treatment coupon in the Current.
Not a bad idea this time of year.
Oh, yeah. I just got back from Florida, obviously a week ago or whatever it was, and been fighting the sinus infection, right? Every time I take that flight, and I'm sure it's all flights, but I'm not going to badmouth the airline there. I was going to, but I'm not. It's sinus infection city, man. It just comes.
The one with all the snivelly kids on it, that flight.
Yes, exactly. So if you miss this show live, you can catch it on Spreaker. You can catch it on YouTube. You can catch it on talkamericaradio.us Saturday and Sunday evenings. And we're all over the place. So we're easy to find. Facebook, Twitter, all the links are there. Check us out. And my Twitter handle is what? At Gary Daily Drift. And what's yours, Ed?
At Ipsy Ed. Ed, whatever. Ed from Ipsy.
I don't remember either.
Ed from Ipsy.
Okay, so you know what I love about Twitter is the instantaneous answers you get from people. It's almost become
you like all that hostility, huh?
I do, and I'm the guy putting it out there half the time. No, I happened to put out the other day. You know, the wall issue was coming up, DACA, and there was a discussion going on about, no DACA, no amnesty, but let's get the wall built. And I thought, why doesn't somebody just put the GoFundMe page? When's that going to happen? And sure enough, I get a response from Fund That Wall, at Fund That Wall. And I contact the guy, and it ends up being Quentin Kramer from fundthewall.com. And it's brand new. They just put it out there. So obviously, great minds think alike. They went ahead and they actually did the website and the whole 9 yards. And he actually called in. So we've got him on the line and we're going to interview him. And if you have questions, please call in 734-822-1600. You can talk to Quentin Kramer. Quentin, welcome to the show.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Glad to have you on board. It was, again, one of those things on Twitter. You get the instantaneous answer, and I loved it. And I was like, wow, that's really awesome. So tell me a little bit about it's fundthewall.com, correct?
Yep.
So tell us, you go to the website and you see the four of you that put this together, and you just started, so it's fresh and it's new, and you need as much exposure, obviously, as possible. So I'm going to tell Twitter people and Facebook people ahead of time, help Quentin out. Let's get this moving a little bit, because if it does nothing else, it's going to spur our government to do what it's supposed to do.
Now, right? Quentin, your handle is Fund That Wall, but the website is Fund The Wall?
Correct. Somebody already had Fund the Wall on Twitter, so we took Fund That Wall, but
I just wanted to emphasize that.
Yes, exactly. All right, so Quentin, go ahead, give us the background, and let's go with it.
So the concept starts as a crowdfunding scenario for border security, right? We've seen any number of tweets like yours where people suggest that we could fund this ourselves. And when you look at it, the Secure Fence Act in 2006 mandated that we provide border security and that the fence be built. So we did some investigation And we found that there are documents that indicate that the DHS is allowed to accept gifts directly from the American people. But what they aren't set up for is to receive micropayments, right? Those $5 and $10 and $25 credit card transactions that might be set up. So what they really need is that conduit that can turn the microfunding into a single payment that they get. So we have a document that's linked on the website that shows that it's on the DHS website that talks about their ability to receive gifts. And furthermore, we're allowed to specify what those gifts can be used for, so long as it's within the scope of the DHS's mission. And from that standpoint, again, the Secure Fence Act points us to the fact that they're mandated to build this wall. So we believe that the document specifically tells us that we can give gifts from the American people to the DHS and specify that they only be used for border security, and that's well within the scope of the DHS's mission. So then the last bit is that they have to approve. They have to, hear our plea, see the money, and approve that they're willing to take it and use it for that purpose. And so that's the step that we're at. We've submitted the offer. In fact, we went to the DHS and said, here, we have money. We want to give it to you, and sort of jammed them to the point where they have to now come up with some answers. And so last but not least is that they've come back to us and said, we're going to give you a list of questions that we need to be able to finally make approval on this, and then we'll be ready to go.
Oh, so
are these any payments made to your organization? Are they tax deductible, or will they be?
They will be. The definition of a charity includes the construction of a public work, and so this is well within that scope of a charity. We actually found another organization that had a similar concept in mind that had filed what's known as a Form 1023 with the IRS and received a positive determination. So we are in the final process of filling that out and getting it submitted to the IRS. We expect that we'll receive a favorable determination within 8 to 11 weeks.
So you can't take money right now, is that right, until you get this final?
We can, it's just not tax deductible.
Oh, okay. So
where does the money go if the DHS says, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't take that money"? What happens?
It will all be refunded.
Okay.
So if you look back on my Twitter feed, what we haven't been doing is saying donate yet. We've had, as you can see on the site, probably 15 people that have taken an early risk, and we very much appreciate that. What that let us do is approach the DHS with that money and say, look, here's a demonstration that the American people are willing to do this. And so now this is real as opposed to a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
So
now,
thank you to those early donors.
Is there an upper limit? My tax thoughts are pretty limited. Is there an upper limit to what you can give, Quentin? Do you know?
We haven't seen. The only limitation that the DHS document stipulates is that it cannot be a current employee of the DHS or a contractor thereof, but there's no upper limit.
Okay.
What these sorts of things generally anticipate is someone who might leave their estate to the government, and that would be, of course, potentially in the millions of dollars worth of a transaction there.
Right. So if you're one of these super wealthy guys, unlike me, you could literally give a $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 gift, and it's taxed after you're set up. It'll be tax deductible.
Correct.
So that's where we put the calls out to the Koch brothers and to the rest of these yahoos that are making all this big money on Wall Street, and we can get this wall done. I mean, I have no problem.
It's not to be confused with a political contribution. Where there's a cap, then, right?
Correct. I mean, from that standpoint, what we're really doing here is marketing a concept. There's nothing that stops anyone from writing a check to the DHS right now. But what we don't want to do is flood them with trying to manage the those individual payments, right? So all we're really doing is providing that conduit.
Yeah, I can't imagine any government being efficient enough and professional enough to take in small payments like that. Yeah, I wouldn't trust that it would get to where it's supposed to go in that case,
Well, exactly. And so you point out the next step, which is that we've then created a responsibility within this organization to make sure that those funds are spent on what they say that they will be, and that we're getting good value for the money.
Okay.
So from that standpoint, we'll be here to provide that oversight, making sure that mile for mile we're getting a good value and that we're doing what we say we're going to do.
So then you become an aggregator, right? Is that the term?
Yeah, I mean, we're an oversight organization and an aggregator, yep.
Okay.
All right, and so I lost my train of thought there for a minute.
I saw it.
It went right out that window over to Derek's side. That's where it went. So you guys are just in – how long do you think before you have that final approval from DHS and it becomes a tax-deductible donation?
So we heard from them on December 8th that they were formulating a list of questions for us. We believe that this is a novel concept, right? The government's never really considered could they be crowdfunded. And so they're back looking at that, I imagine, and trying to figure out what they want to ask us. Obviously, the intervening holiday didn't help. So we expect that we'll have their list of questions maybe within the next week. If not, we'll be escalating, hopefully with your help. And then once we have those questions, we'll share them with everyone. We'll show you what our answers are, and we'll provide them back to the DHS within, I would imagine, a day or two. It can't be hard what they'll ask us. And from there, it's just a matter of them saying yes.
Yeah.
After this, we can do an aircraft carrier, right?
Well, how many of us have seen bumper stickers that said that they wish we would have to have a bake sale to buy bombers?
Yeah, that's right.
Because this really is an extrapolation of that concept.
Well, that's the thought was running through my mind the same way. Imagine if the American people all said, listen, we're fine with funding this infrastructure project and this infrastructure project and this project. We're not fine with doing that. It's kind of taking it back. And now that we have the technology and the ability to do that,
voluntary taxation.
You could do your voluntary taxation. I'm going to support the roads. I'm going to support the military. I'm going to support this, but I'm not going to support all that entitlement
Planned
Parenthood and everything else. Yeah.
That could well be. We just need to remember we're not creating law, right? Congress mandated that the fence be built, and Congress has been playing with the funding. So we're able to control the funding, but we're not allowed to tell the DHS to do something Congress hasn't allowed them to do. That's all. Right.
Okay. So, and I guess, again, back to extrapolating a little bit. So if Congress said we've got a road project, and I'm sure there's all kinds of legislation for the interstate highway system, right? You could literally crowdfund repairs, right? Interesting concept.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so do you have a Facebook page too? I didn't check the Facebook.
We do. Fund the Wall. It's a little bit less active than we have been on Twitter, but absolutely it's there.
Okay. So fundthewall.com. Your Twitter feed is at fundthatwall.
Correct.
And Facebook is just Fund the Wall.
There will be a link on fundthewall.com to Facebook, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Exactly. And so here's what I want our listeners to do, our Twitter peeps and our tweeps, right? Twitter peeps. Anyways, take this show after I get it up online today and send it to the Foxes, the MSNBCs. You won't get any play at CNN and MSNBC, obviously, but help get this out to Hannity, Tucker, and the rest of those guys, and let's see if we can get some movement for Fund the Wall and get Quentin and crew out there on some exposure, because this is a great
Tucker
idea.
Carlson, yeah.
There would be nothing better than to come up with, $1 billion.
Now, I'm reminded of a technique that Soupy Sales once used when I was a kid. And that was Soupy Sales.
That's one of our local
well, yeah, but he went national.
He did. He was a comedian.
And it was
absolutely.
Yeah.
January 1st. He got on the air and he says, now, kids, I want you to go into Mommy and Daddy's room and take out all the pictures of the dead presidents and mail them to me. Yes, it worked. He lost his job for a while on that one.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so we can do that for, the wall, too.
Brutal.
Absolutely.
All right, so what else you got? You got some events coming up? What do you got going on, Quentin?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, one of the things that we've been doing is lobbying to get Congress to fund it, right? If we didn't have to crowdfund it, we certainly wouldn't want to. And so if we can get Congress to allocate the funding, then great, let's do that. We need to consider, though, that it's only going to be essentially, a tenth of what's really required to secure the border. So between now and the 19th, it's all about separating the border wall funding from some of these other politically charged issues, because it's mandated to do that, right? Congress should be allocating these funds. Let's get that done so we don't have to crowdfund it. But if we can't, then we're prepared to do it. I think that's the message that really needs to get out there. We're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Well, thank you so much. We're going to get you on again, Quentin, because that's a great idea, and I was so glad that you got hold of me. So once you get that update, please get hold of me, and we'll go to town trying to get people to start donating, because I think that's a big catch. I mean, people may be willing to give $5, but if it's tax deductible, you may see those $100,000, $200,000.
End of the year, folks, you need that deduction.
End of year, that's exactly right. So when you work on that, make sure you give us a holler back or tweet me or whatever, and we'll make arrangements to get you back, and maybe bring your other guys in too, and we'll do a little round table.
You will come back after being on Hannity and Laura and Tucker, right? You will remember us.
Absolutely.
Don't forget about us. Yeah. All right. Well, great, Quentin. I appreciate the call and letting us know what's going on, and we'll try and drive some traffic your way.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Take care. All right,
Happy New Year.
You too. And let's take a break, and when we come back, we will start getting into the news of the week. We'll see you all on the other side.